Commissioner Gilbert,
Here.
sorry. Commissioner Taylor.
Present.
Commissioner Intner.
Here.
Chair Firestone.
Here.
Commissioner Comerford.
Present.
Absent this evening are Commissioner Murphy and Commissioner Jacobson.
All right. Item number 3, public comments. Don't have it. All right.
Check.
That's it.
That was fun.
Presentations. Any presentations? No. Okay. Police Department report. Sergeant Matthews. Thanks.
Good evening.
Thanks for being here.
I honestly have very little to say other than the park rentals have been going well. Oh, is that off? There we go. Can you hear me now? The park rentals have been going well. We haven't had any problems. I think since we made some changes a while ago with some of the times and noise requirements have been very little calls for service. The disturbances at the parks have been minimal. I'm trying to think of any other issues. Honestly, we've had really good success so far this summer with very few calls for service, very few issues at any of the parks. Even Libby Park has been really toned down and mellow. So we're grateful for that. That's always a good thing.
Great. I had a question about the skate park.
Sure.
Heard some noise about bicyclists using the park and there being some tension. Has that been called to you guys, or?
You know, I haven't looked at the rules for the skate park about bikes. I mean, so scooters and go ahead.
Go, you
So
go
scooters
ahead.
and skateboards, certainly, as long as you have the protective equipment and you have to have a
No,
helmet,
it's
right?
actually no bikes and no scooters. It's supposed to be only skateboards and inline skates.
Oh, I'm
Not-
sorry.
Not that you ever
That's
see
okay.
inline skates, but
Yeah. Actually, there's a few over there.
Every now and
oh, are
again.
there?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I do see, you know, and I'm glad you brought that up
Yes.
because I do see very little kids with scooters and their parents. So their parents will ride the skateboards, and then like the 3-4-year-olds will ride the scooters. So we've not had any complaints about that.
Okay.
Right.
And it seems that when the parents are there, everybody gets along really well. It's when the parents don't come with their children that we start to have some conflicts. And that hasn't been the case lately, so that's a good thing.
Okay, great. Anyone else have any questions or
I
comments?
have a question on that.
Yes, ma'am?
On Sundays, I'm a biker. I'm always on my bike.
Road
And
bike? Road bike?
Yes, just a regular road bike.
You're not doing BMX flips?
No.
Just checking.
That bike is not in my territory. But on Sundays, I have noticed when I am biking that there is a slew of motorcyclists that just kind of want to run you off the road. And it's always on a Sunday, by the way. And it usually happens somewhere early afternoon, I'd say. Yeah, and I was just wondering if you've had any reports, regarding that issue.
And downtown or?
No,
what
not
location?
downtown. It's usually when you're going out towards the park.
I have not heard about that.
Yeah.
I mean, we know that typically Sunday afternoons are big motorcycle riding days, right? They go up Highway 33, they go
Yes.
over Highway 150.
Yes.
When I worked on the helicopter, that was like the bulk of our business on a summer Sunday afternoon. But I have not heard about any conflicts between motorcycle riders and bicyclists.
I'm surprised because
Yeah.
I actually, when they are in back of me and they come close to me, I get up on the sidewalk.
That's very
I
interesting.
ride my bike over to the right on the sidewalk.
I used to ride road bikes quite a bit too, and that's very interesting because typically the motorcyclists are very cautious of the bike riders because they have the same fear with the cars. They
Oh, right.
they understand how small they are compared to the big trucks and the other vehicles on the road. So I'm sorry to hear that. I have not heard of that, any conflicts though, or any
Okay.
problems.
Well, I think it's just something to be aware of, right?
Okay, yeah, certainly.
Anything else for Sergeant Matthews? Thank you for coming.
You're welcome.
Yeah. Okay. Item 6, Public Works Report.
Just one quick one from that Mr. Grant passed on. That Rock Tree Sky Learning Center is going to be installing, contacted the city and wanted to donate a hydration station at the Upper Libby at the Upper Libby courts. At
Do you know where they're
near
gonna
that
put
restroom. I don't know
By the
I
restroom,
don't
okay.
know the install date, but
But it's
I
gonna be by the
think
restroom up there.
it's going to
where
be
there's
by
a-
the restroom or against that one of the restroom
That's
walls
really
on the
nice.
outside wall. Yeah, and they said they'll maintain it for 5 years. I don't know what's going to happen after 5 years, but that was their commitment to do all the maintenance on it after installation. Yeah, filter changes after so many uses.
The ones at the school at least have a
Mhm.
counter,
It
so
does.
it indicates how often it needs to be serviced.
Yeah, because we have two. We have actually two at the rec at Sarasota Park at the Boyd Center.
That also solves a problem that during the concerts, there's no water access to the
Yeah.
drinking fountain.
Yeah.
So it's a nice added benefit because that's been a bit of an issue.
Right.
And it's filtered water,
Yeah.
as you
Cold.
pointed out, cold.
Yeah.
So
Well, we
it'll
should,
be nice.
when that's finished, we should give them,
Invite them.
and thank them.
Sure. Yeah. I don't. Greg didn't give me the install date.
Yeah, no, I mean, no hurry, but I mean, we should just keep it on our radar that when it happens, that'd be great.
Yeah.
That's really nice.
Yeah, they're not inexpensive.
Right.
Either. They're decently priced. So,
Great.
but that's all I have on the
That's a great
public.
improvement.
Okay.
Yeah. Public
Um,
Works report.
Anything anybody wants to relay to Mr. Grant? No. Okay. Approval of minutes, item 7 from the June 7th.
Those are pending.
I was gonna say,
That's
I
a-
didn't see
that's
them,
a-
so.
You did not see them. That
Okay.
is a summer program. I've got a lot to
Little
do
lag
with
time.
summer program
Mm.
kind of thing. As you know, Allison is responsible for doing those minutes, but we've just had a busy 3 weeks of summer program that have just took priority over the minutes.
Mm.
Sounds great, understandable. Okay, so we'll see those maybe next month, maybe we'll catch up.
Yeah, we will.
Good
We will
summer.
catch up
Okay.
by the August, hopefully by the August meeting.
Okay. So then discussion items, we've got, so discussion item 8A is the joint meeting with the city council, and we do have slides to go over that Allison and I have been working on. I'm wondering though if it would make sense to go forward with 8B and C first, to the extent that that content we're going to talk
It
about.
influences the
Yeah, and
presentation.
I
That's good.
think you might have asked me to rotate that. I'm not
Yeah,
sure.
I might have screwed up what I
You-
suggested.
I'm not sure.
But
Oh, well, anyway.
why don't we move on to
There?
8B, and we'll come back to 8A.
That sounds like a good idea.
So multi-sport courts. So I'll give you an update. Since at our last meeting, I had expressed some concerns with this alternate layout that we had discussed, which was not what's in the master plan. So in the master plan, we've got 2 courts that are running from east to west. And we had thought that maybe north to south would be better. But when we looked at that, that kind of stuck out into the ball fields significantly. So then we thought, well, maybe there are other spots in the park where, we could put one court where it was on the master plan, and maybe there was room somewhere near there for another court. And so I was out there with Sophocles and with Jeff, and we came to the conclusion that there wasn't. That pretty much because of the oak trees being everywhere, there really isn't a space to put another court, except in back of the gym, where we kind of ruled out because it eats into all this open space. But the other thing we realized was that if we let go of this kind of north-south orientation idea and we stick with the original east-west orientation, it fits in way better. It doesn't cut into the ball fields nearly as much. It's basically another 20 or 30 feet back and out of the way.
Yep.
So our thinking from that was that it made sense to stick with what's in the master plan. And if that's the case, I don't think we need a workshop. I think that
I agree.
the thought of the workshop was if we were going to do something that was different than what we had approved and was in the plan, we needed some public input. But it does seem like what the consultants put in the plan, it looks like the best layout, and there's room for 2 courts there.
Yeah, I went and walked it and looked at both of the outlines, and the plan, the first option we had definitely is a better fit, I think, for that back corner.
Yeah. I think it also, it makes really good use of the little room there is that is kind of in between the trees and,
Right, it fits.
yeah.
Yeah, and you don't, and you know, as you've moved it over, there's enough space to that, so there's more dead space to the back corner. And then you can use that much more efficiently, I think,
Right.
with this plan than with the other plan.
Right.
And I think it alleviates a lot of the concerns about even the balls coming into the courts.
Yeah.
There's, the mitigation you'll have to do on this plan versus the other plan is pretty different. I think you have to have the fence, and it needs to be protected, but not to the degree it did when it was so close
Mhm.
to the outfields.
Yeah.
So that seems like it would keep the cost down and will look much more attractive to not have to have such high fences.
Right. So anyone else with thoughts on that? Any concerns?
I was just telling Maya that I noticed right off that it was changed and how nice it looked.
It looks good, doesn't it? Yeah.
And I was like,
Yeah.
oh, these are different, and she concurred. It looks a lot.
Yeah, I'm glad
it
we
just looks
switched
a lot
back.
better
Mhm.
with that placement.
Okay.
And do we have how we did the half court, full court, as far as in the master plan? Is it indicated which one would be built as priority, like the north or south court?
No, so I think that would be kind of a next step. I think if we're all comfortable with the layout, then right, I think there's a little bit of revision that has to be done to the site survey.
That's next steps, though, whatever we go ahead with, right?
Yeah, I don't think we need to concern ourselves with that at this point.
Okay,
but,
yeah, so I think,
um,
right, we're,
Yeah, but I think one of the things you mentioned, it's not quite in the same vein, but having it prepared for lights
Right.
potentially down the road. And will we have a recommendation? I know the full body isn't here tonight, but will we have a recommendation for council by our joint meeting?
Right.
I guess that could be added to our next Park and Rec Commission meeting. If we decide to schedule it for the first Thursday in August, we could
I think,
make a decision then, or make a
Well, and I-
recommendation at that point.
right, and I think that it's exactly that, it's a recommendation.
Yeah.
Ultimately, would we want to? Yes, we'd like to support our programming better. We could use that for the youth basketball. We know we have a shortage of space. And again, I'd like us to back off of trying to make the monetary decisions and more make good recommendations on this would be what we want. And then we put that forward that way without worrying too much about the numbers. Because I think that they'll make those decisions when they need to make them. But I think from our bodies, what we need to come up with is, if we don't need 2 because we're not going to use it, then we shouldn't build 2. But if 2 will support our programming better and give the community a really increased level of service in that park, then I think that's what we should recommend. So that's where my thinking is more, the money is a huge issue in this, but maybe not as much ours as council's. And so, and you know, I think that the thing is that coming up with the alternatives, that will happen either way, whether we make this, you know.
Right.
So I just think as we go forward, I'd like to look at it that way. And I ultimately think the community will use these. I mean, if there's 2, they're gonna get used. And I think
Especially if they have lights.
ultimately, wouldn't that be nice? And, yeah. I mean, I would love to recommend we'd like the 2 courts with lights, knowing that we can't, but that ultimately, down the road, that's what we really want for the community and for that park, because it would give the most recreational benefit.
right, what is the,
Perhaps we can start out with one with lights, and they can add that cost and with a plan in place, so that we don't have to go through such a process to
Right.
get that second one added, you know, more of a tiered.
Well, an
approval type
incremental,
thing.
like an incremental build out, yeah. And so, but I think ultimately, instead of saying we just want 1 right now, I think we say we want 2, but that we, you know,
I just really like how slated
I-
it just
yeah.
seems to fit.
that was the
Yeah,
original
That
plan.
was actually the
Really?
original
Yes.
layout, yeah. And then we made the change really primarily because of sun direction. And then we realized, well.
The benefit wasn't that great.
Right, just that factor alone, when we changed the orientation, the negatives outweighed the just that one sun factor. The negatives outweighed that when we reoriented them the other way. So this is actually the original way, as Commissioner Intner pointed out.
T-ball. Because that's
So,
that
but
corner.
the decision will be, I guess, is, do we, we want to have it prepared for lights? Then the bigger is, do we wait and do two at a time, or do you do one at a time? And
Or-
I think that, I
Yeah.
think that's the big
Or we want two.
recommendation.
Right.
And what is council willing to give us money for?
Yeah.
Ultimately, we want two. And then maybe that next discussion comes up, if they say, we just can't fund two, then we go to work on the one. But everyone's clear that what we're really wanting is the two courts in
Yeah.
in that location.
Yeah, and we've talked about the fact that it's more cost-effective to do two at once.
At the same time, yeah, there's an economy of scale in construction that once you're there and you've got everything going, yeah.
Right. So I would agree with Commissioner Intner.
I just have a point. I wasn't at the last meeting because I was out of state, but at any rate, one of the things that, when I met Sophocles and we walked the ground to where the court will possibly be, was neighbor citizenry approval. And I think you have to really take into consideration the lights. If you want double lights there, that's a lot of lights.
Have you
You
been to
know.
the skate park at night?
I have not.
Go check it out, because it has LED lights. It's really the first application of sports-oriented LED lights in the valley,
Real direct.
which are
very
very
direct.
efficient. They don't bleed, which is an interesting idea. Like the ones that we have on our big fields there,
Yes.
they bleed everywhere. I mean, it's going all over the place. The LEDs, it's almost like a line on the ground and then there's no more
Oh,
light.
interesting.
Because it's a different, and I don't have the lighting terminology to describe to you why that is, but if you ever happen to be passing by the skate park, it's worth a look, because the lighting is very different than the big, what are those?
Traditional
That have to heat up and cool down,
halogen type.
They're even older than that.
Yeah,
They're,
I can't remember.
I can't remember no,
No.
when they go out, you wait 5 minutes and then
Yeah,
they come
just
back
turn
up
it on.
again.
Yeah.
But
Sodium.
I agree with,
The thing is that anytime you double something, you're gonna double everything. You know what I mean? And that's the way it just is. So, I don't know, I think I understand what you're saying about, if you're gonna, request both of them at the same time, but I don't know, I think maybe a little bit of more,
Well, and we didn't,
Research should
unfortunately, I
be
didn't bring the cost estimates here tonight. But those cost estimates, I don't believe included lights.
they did not.
So it'll just.
I don't think it'll all
as-
happen at
as-
the same
as
time.
Commissioner Comerford is referring to, that cost, when
Yeah.
we find out what those lighting costs are, will
Yeah.
double.
yeah.
My
Right,
request has
right, I
always been,
understand.
be prepared for them. I don't believe that we're gonna get them all at the same time, but it's better to stub out everything in your first project and make sure it's organized for if and when, than to come back and have to prepare later for it.
I think we discussed making a recommendation that if we can't have the lighting, at least do the conduit so that we don't have to tear
Exactly.
things up, right?
Yeah.
So that we can add that little bit.
Right.
And as far as the neighbor portion of it, any project that we undertake, we're going to engage with the neighbors and all of that when that happens. The thing about pushing this forward to council is, we're putting forward an idea, and then the whole project will be developed beyond that when council's ready to fund it and when they're ready to go forward with it. And all these steps will be followed to, engage that way and do the outreach and the communication and all of that. So it won't just, it's not something where you go, yes, we're gonna do it, and then a week or two later, it's not gonna be like that at all. There'll be a lot of process before anything happens, and a lot of communication.
Yep. Okay.
So I think it would be good, hopefully in August, we'll have the full commission, and Commissioner Murphy and Commissioner Jacobson have been kind of involved in this discussion for a while. It'd be nice to have them here as part of the
Yeah.
decision, or the recommendation. So in August, I think it sounds like we're on board with proposing the two courts to the city council. That's our recommendation, with the stub ends or the conduit for eventual lighting. So,
At least with the body that's present.
Yeah, so I think that will be our
But that's fine.
proposed motion for next month. Is there anything else that we need to address in the meantime? Does anyone else have any concerns that we need to
No.
look into, or, no? Okay. So that should be pretty straightforward, hopefully. And then that brings up item 8C, which is the public workshop. So we had planned on a public workshop later this month on July 21st, in part to talk about alternate layouts for the multi-sport courts, when we had the idea that we might propose something that wasn't in the master plan. So now that that's not the case, I don't think it's worth doing the workshop. The other item for the workshop is the Libby Bowl lawn. And so Sophocles and I were thinking that we would invite the public to our August commission meeting to provide input on that. And then at that point, I think we could make a recommendation
That sounds good.
for the joint meeting with city council.
That was more of an add-on to the fact that we were already having a public meeting.
Yeah.
We don't need to,
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we can do a big invite for that through our database.
right, use those emails we have and.
Yeah.
Right, so all of you in TV land who are interested, our next meeting is scheduled for August 2nd, Thursday, August 2nd. And we invite public comment on the Libby Bowl lawn. There's been a proposal from some of the city council members to raise the elevation of the lawn area for better viewing of the stage. And we'd like some public input on that.
Good, that's
Okay.
great.
So then, I think we can go back to item 8A, the joint meeting with city council. And we have draft slides. Were you able to look at those on the?
We don't
No,
have
okay.
it for, I
That's
just
fine.
brought a hard copy.
Okay, so we have hard
We'll go through
copies.
The hard copy, unfortunately, the public
Um,
won't be
yeah.
able to view it along with us, but.
We'll see it soon enough. See the finished copy. Okay, so Allison and I started this. You'll see it's still a bit rough, but I think it's pretty good. It's a good starting point for us to discuss tonight. And then Allison and I will go back and clean it up based on our discussion tonight and do some editing. And then we can take a look at the final or close to final in August before the joint meeting that's later in August. So we stuck with a pretty similar format to last year, I'll say. We did combine the parks and program updates because there weren't a lot of parks updates, so it seemed to make sense to just make that one section. So it's kind of a quick overview of what's been going on in the parks and with programs at the rec department. And then we move to discussion items, which are the topics that we're kind of actively going through in the commission. So the bulk of the time would be spent on that. So I can just walk through these, and then if you guys have comments as we're going through. So we start with the parks and program updates. Page 4, Boyd Center turns 115.
Oh, wow.
Slide on that. Then the next page is the master plan. So this has been updated? This is
Yeah,
the
this is
revised
the
one?
updated.
Okay.
This is the
Should,
updated master plan.
I noticed it still says preliminary.
Yeah, well, I brought the 11 by 17 just to run it by you under staff reports. We were going to bring it up and just let you look it over and either here, give your input, or
Wanna see
by
right now?
email, give your input to me of,
Okay.
it looks great, let's let's say that this is what we want to go with.
Okay. Got it. So we'll keep that in mind, everyone. We can come back to that point. But we've got a page with the master plan. And then the next page is projects from the master plan and the timelines. So this should look familiar from last year. I think it's still relevant. So we've gotten through the picnic areas, multi-sport courts are next, and then ball field renovation, new playground, water element. These are kind of the top elements from the master plan. Anything else that we want to add to this? Anything you want to change?
And I'll have to say, it kind of jumped out at me, Chair Firestone, that I think it was asked to be on the agenda, and it didn't get on this one, about the CIP, about bringing that CIP forward
Uh-huh.
and going through that list.
Oh, yeah.
So my apologies
That's all right.
to you and to the rest of the commission for not getting it on here, because I think we wanted to review that. And we'll still have an opportunity
Right.
to review that before the joint meeting, but
Yeah, so we can put that on the, when we talk about future meeting
Yeah.
agenda items, we can do a CIP refresh. Okay, so anything else on this slide? Anything? No. All right. Then community partnerships. The partnerships that the rec department's been involved in.
Sorry, can I ask a question? These are directly related to the master plan. But we have other things in our CIP that are not directly related to the master plan.
Mhm.
Do we want to generalize this, or do we want to keep this list specific to the master plan
So we have the CIP list.
in the back here?
Yeah.
Okay.
is it actually in this?
It's on page
It
8.
was in the draft.
Yeah, no, it's in the back.
Oh,
I'm just
it
wondering
is.
if
It's
there,
actually there.
if there are projects we're gonna do within the next year or two, it might be good to have them listed this way,
Okay.
because I think they could get lost in the spreadsheet. I don't, it depends on how you want to present. It's just a
Right,
thought.
yeah, it's
It's
kind
fine
of
if we
a
don't. It's-
blend. This is mostly like Parks and Recs. Literally the Parks and the Rec departments.
It's Sarasota only. Okay.
But yeah, if it makes more sense to have the CIP in here, because it's all park items.
And just not the things that are way out, but just maybe a couple of things we think we're gonna get done.
Mhm.
I'm just thinking of the restroom. That's really the big one
The
at
what?
Libby, the Libby restroom
Oh.
remodel.
Yeah, so how about, this is kind of the
Yeah, okay.
master plan, and then we could add a slide, just move the CIP after this, or make a slide that's the other CIP stuff.
Or this could be Sarasota,
Uh-huh.
and then below you could do a similar spreadsheet idea that says other upcoming CIP projects.
Okay.
And then it could be a mix of Libby, and non-master plan related Sarasota, because the roof,
Lighting.
Okay, so a second slide then.
it could be a second slide, because it'd probably get too busy
Yeah.
that way, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay,
Okay.
a second slide.
Great, right after this
But
one.
just, it could be exactly the same thing.
Yeah.
And then you flip to it, and it just, instead of giving them way back here, the spreadsheet,
Yeah.
we could highlight, yeah, it's hard to read, highlight it that way.
Okay, I like that, thank you.
And it says the photo to be updated. Which photo?
It's the rendering, I think, with this drawing here.
Okay.
That is the photo.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's
Okay.
technically a
good.
rendering. Okay, so then community partnerships, open house, I think, was this the 4th or the 5th?
This was the 5th,
Okay,
so we'll correct that.
update.
Sorry, one more question. As we're highlighting community partnerships, do we want to highlight the school district after-school program in the spirit of community partnerships? I know it's not new,
Yeah, it's not new, we were
But
only
it's-
putting new, but.
but
we can-
maybe we don't need to say new. We can just talk about community partnerships as a valued item and then list some. I like that we're expanding our list.
Mhm.
It's just a thought.
Yeah, okay, so. Other things we'd want to list?
That was
like
the
the-
one that came to mind that we are doing.
Yeah.
The ceramics is,
Yeah, it's.
you could have a bullet that's OUSD, and it could be ceramics and after-school programs. So that it's one line, right? I like to highlight it.
Use of facilities, we've been,
We haven't ventured out yet on
Okay.
that for any of our classes.
Yeah, this is what we've got going now.
Yeah,
Yeah, okay.
we'll use the Matilha gym,
we do for our basketball program.
yeah.
That's an annual use.
Okay, so we can just mention OUSD in here. Sounds good. Open house, aquatics. So I asked Allison to kind of highlight what she thought would be fun to mention. And so we've got aquatics, summer camp, parent night out. And then I thought this was interesting to put, so last year we had a slide on new programs.
Mhm.
I thought it was interesting to put kind of what's gone away too, so we kind of know
That's good.
what the whole cycle is. So we have a few new programs and a few programs that have gone away. That was interesting. If there's, as you're looking through this, if there are other programs that you think should be highlighted in here, any programming things, we can definitely add that. They've got the after-school program, details on that.
You know,
What?
just a comment on the after-school program. I don't know that, I mean, you could add that Miners Oaks is starting their own, but it might be better to start with what we do at Topa.
Right,
Flip that.
yeah.
Because you've already mentioned that we're not doing Miners Oaks already on the page
Yeah.
before.
Yeah. Okay, anything else on this side? We'll also email this PowerPoint, so if people have more editorial comments, you can send them to me and Allison.
Should we have a gymnastics slide, especially since we just got them new equipment? Should we add something about them in there?
We haven't got the new equipment just yet.
I was gonna say, did
I
it
know.
come?
But,
I know
yeah,
it was part of the.
Yeah.
yes, it is, you're right. We could.
It is something
add that
happening this
somewhere.
year.
Gymnastics is such a big part
It's
of
huge.
the recreation department and
Yeah.
its history. It's one of probably the longest running
Yeah.
programs we have, so we'll include that somewhere.
Yeah, we
They
can put a
would feel
slide.
slighted if they,
That would be nice.
yeah, and I would even say maybe even tennis,
Yep.
because that's another big one, because it's so,
Mhm.
it's a lot of adult activity as well, so.
Mm-hmm. Good.
I think that's very true.
And the weight training program, I mean, there are a lot to
Lots.
list.
But that doesn't, I mean, but that's good.
Yeah,
That's
right.
That's a positive thing.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, and it's fun. It's nice to highlight some programs. Unfortunately, we can't cover everything, so we only have an hour. But definitely, I think adding a slide with gymnastics and tennis might be nice. Does that sound good?
Mhm.
Okay. Um,
If it promotes it, that's the thing, right?
Mhm.
And it definitely will.
Yeah.
Just having it there in print.
Okay, so then participation numbers, this is pretty much the same as last year, because we had our meeting pretty late in the year. So we have the final 2017 numbers in here, but that's it. And then revenue, again, pretty similar. If you guys have, I know I'm going kind of quick, but if you have questions or comments, let me know. Sorry. Okay, so that's kind of the Parks and Rec update. Anything else for that section? And hopefully we go fairly quickly through that. And that's just kind of to give the council kind of an update on what the last year has looked like. And then we move on to things that we are currently discussing as a commission. So we've got, and this is the list of what we had in here. CIP, multi-sport courts, teen activities, Valley-wide Parks District, Sarzati Master Plan, naming policy, and Libby Lawn. And I think Allison had a question if we wanted to keep the Valley-wide Parks District as a discussion item. We do have a slide on it, so we can take a look at it and see if we want to keep it.
And I guess do you agree to the order of it?
Right, yeah, and it seems like maybe the master plan and the multi-sport court should go
Next to
next to each other.
Yeah.
Anyone have a preference for where?
Well, why don't you put the master plan second, because it has a pretty picture,
Mhm.
and then go into the picture, the courts which relate to the picture.
Right, okay.
And then Valley-wide Parks District, just push it to the bottom.
Okay.
I kind of was thinking that naming policy and Libby should go before teen activities, or just because we've been talking about them so much. Kind of almost
Yeah.
in like order,
Mhm.
it just,
I think for me, the only thing about that is I think both of those things will be already sent to them,
oh, by the.
won't they,
then-
before our meeting? Because if
Okay.
we make a recommendation on the,
Do you think we'll be ready to make that recommendation, at least on the naming policy and Libby Law?
no, not on the naming
No.
policy, but on Libby
On
Lawn, I
Libby
think will
Lawn?
be, yeah, it'll be moved forward. The naming policy, it's probably, because we're not gonna have it by then.
So you don't want to move those up because.
Move the naming policy up, but if we've already put forward Libby Lawn,
And leave it at the bottom.
Yeah.
Do we even need to have it on there?
I think we should have it on there,
Ongoing.
Yeah.
because it's also an opportunity for discussion after we give them feedback,
Right,
which will probably come up.
okay, so move naming policy up to after the multi-sport courts?
You know, my only thing with that is I'm so excited about the teen activities. But
About the what?
the teen activities.
Oh,
You'll get to them. We'll get to those.
No, I know.
topics, because we're not gonna, we'll
I
be
just-
more careful about where
I
the
would
meeting
rather,
goes.
I would rather get the teen activities out of the way before we get way late in a
Okay,
discussion about
let's do
naming.
that.
That's my only,
that's a good idea.
because from that group, I think that group is gonna be more focused on a policy thing than they may be on the,
Teen activities, we can get through it quickly.
yeah, if that works. I mean, either way, it's not a big difference, but
And what about the valley-wide parks?
I'd push it to the bottom.
Okay, so here's
Yeah.
the proposed order. First would be a CIP, then Sarzati master plan, then multi-sport courts, then teen activities, then naming policy, then Libby Lawn, and then Valley-wide Parks District.
I think that sounds good.
Okay, great. Okay, so CIP, this is the CIP. I don't know if we want to make something that's more digestible than this.
I'm now reconsidering changing it to the front, because I see what you're saying now about it being confusing. Because that was just meant to highlight the master plan.
Right. I mean, what we can do here is say,
What if we,
reference the later part of the presentation where we're going.
we could do that, or what if we keep this the way that it is, but add a slide that looks like this after, we could show the whole CIP,
Mhm.
and then have a slide right after that of a similar style to the Sarasota master plan one, that highlights the upcoming projects.
Okay, so it's kind of a.
So you don't have to look that close.
Yeah.
But it highlights the list so that as we go forward with the discussion, everyone will have a clearer picture of what we're discussing in the immediate future.
Does that sound good to everyone?
Yeah.
Or
And,
have-
and go through 1920 is in the discussion, just cut it off there, or where would everyone want to cut it off?
We don't have anything, yeah, we don't
I-
have anything listed after.
I think there's probably,
CIP, right?
there's a lot of unused space, the way this is laid out.
Mhm,
I think
mhm.
there's probably a way to keep this entire list and indicate, maybe sort it by year and,
Make them big and bold, and then leave the other stuff farther down, maybe? I don't know, yeah.
right, or at least have, yeah.
Some hierarchy to the organization.
Yeah, rather than using all the space for a table, pretty much just have the list with some numbers about the year. or
And this could be in their packet, but we don't need it as a slide.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's nice to have.
Yeah.
Oh, you're talking this table, yeah.
Because for some people, the spreadsheet's gonna be very helpful to look at, but I
Right.
just don't know that it makes a great slide on helping us communicate.
Yeah. Right, and I'm confident we can get most of this information in a much simpler slide.
And more easily readable in this format.
Yeah.
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 Is it possible to make it darker? I mean, it just
Yeah.
definitely stands out as
Yeah.
not important when it really is.
When we make it difficult to read, yeah.
It's hard, it is hard to read the numbers.
I
know what I
have all
mean?
faith in you to make this work. I think you
I know.
understand what we're
Yeah,
saying.
we
and
did something similar. I think, I don't
Last
know
year.
what happened, but yeah.
Yes,
We had the
It had-
same issue,
yeah.
and we came up with a decent way of presenting it, but definitely, we can work on something
Okay,
easier to read.
yeah.
Okay, anything on CIP that, like, kind of other than just kind of laying out what we have, is there anything that we want to be prepared to discuss?
so the only discussion item for that is the sport courts. That's the only slide that follows the CIP,
Right.
the whole CIP, okay.
Mhm.
Do the numbers, oh, I'm on the next page, sorry. Yeah,
Yeah, okay.
there's a number that doesn't make
31.45,
sense on the next
yeah.
page.
I do have a question on the cost. I mean, the cost estimate for the two courts, 258, I mean, is that an accurate figure, Sophocles?
Yeah,
It is
yeah,
accurate.
well, it's what we got from Crabtree Engineering, or I'm not sure
It's the
exactly
best
company's
estimate we
name.
have now. I'm
With
comfortable with
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
And that's
Without,
the
that's
250.
without lights. That's two courts built at the same time,
Mm-hmm.
no lights.
And you had
258.
various
estimated.
people that kind of gave us estimate or
That's
not?
the only estimate we've received on it.
Well, I was wondering if maybe we could get more. I mean, is it possible?
As we move forward, that will happen.
Yeah, I imagine, yeah, there could be some, larger or lower estimates, yeah.
Uh-huh.
But yeah, we got that one, we could reach out for more. I mean, once we really want to get into that project, we'll have to
Right.
put it out. Request for proposals and
Mhm.
that sort of thing, so, but I think generally they're probably all in the same ballpark, I imagine.
Anything else on CIP?
Just page 19. the
Yeah,
cost,
there's a number that's funky. It should be,
9305, I think.
do math, yeah, right.
Well, aren't these all CIPs on this page?
Yeah, hold on, let's see.
Not
The,
like
the allocation, it just says 3,145 for 18.
Uh-huh, and do you
That-
know what it actually was?
No, hold on.
Okay.
Well, isn't it this total right here?
No,
Oh,
so
that, this is just for the
like that,
that's just for the multi-sport project, sports court project. It's trying to,
Oh,
it's just trying
okay.
to communicate in what year, how much is allocated in each year, because it's not all allocated in
Oh, I
one
see. Okay.
year. But that number's
And
still
I
not
see
right,
the
I don't
figure
think,
here.
that might have been what we actually spent
already,
on,
to get
Well,
the
that is
information
right,
that we
Grace,
have.
if That's what it
Thing.
has here.
Okay.
145 under outdoor basketball.
Okay, was there,
because
that I can look into that with Allison.
just to make sure, yeah.
The 3145
Yeah.
that must have been for the Crabtree.
Yeah,
Is
the
that what
study, or
Okay.
the
Okay.
recommendation.
Right.
And there wasn't
Got it.
previous,
Estimates
there
and
wasn't
the s-
previously
and
anything
the study.
budgeted for this year? Or that was just actuals
So there was money
budgeted?
budgeted for this
I
fiscal
think
year.
so.
So that's a question that because I'd like to see in that, what was actually budgeted, not just what was spent, because I think that would be confusing,
Okay.
Yeah, allocation
Yeah.
indicates that that's what they set aside, right? So budgeted.
yeah.
Okay.
Instead of an actual.
That would make sense, yeah. Okay, so I'll clarify that. Anything else on multi-sport courts? Okay,
Can I go back, under the park, under Liberty Park, the bike path, where did that figure come from, for what?
The bike path or
Yeah.
park? The bike park.
Oh,
Park.
bike park. Okay,
Bike
sorry, I thought it
It's
said
okay.
path. Yeah, sorry. Yep, I understand.
Yeah, that, the 1900
Yeah.
figure was probably again.
That's
for
another
the
actual.
Yeah. I think
instead
it's
of the
an actual
proposed.
For the city's portion of assisting with the environmental study. And that, the bike park, just to let you know, is on a complete,
Yeah.
not stalemate,
Hold?
and a major hold,
Yeah.
yeah.
Major hold.
But they sort of had been informed that they wanna resurface that parking lot. And if they've been told if
They
they don't
being
move
the
forward,
city.
the city has told the bike coalition, if there isn't a decision made soon, they're gonna go forward with resurfacing that whole lot, including where the bike park's supposed to go.
Mhm.
Oh,
And it'll make it a lot more difficult for them to then request tearing that up once we resurface.
mhm.
So it is a bit, stalemate's not the right word, but
It's on
it's
hold.
on hold. And
Yep.
there hasn't been really any progress moving forward on that plan, so.
So back to the CIP. So anything else on CIP? If not, so let's look at the order. So that was 1, 2. Master plan. So item 2, the master plan.
That would
Um,
be next.
Yeah, so
Our
sorry.
new order.
Right.
Yeah.
Item 2 would be the master plan, and this is what I had written down. But drawings have been updated as approved by the council. The commission's focused on the multi-sport courts, which they should get that message loud and clear from our presentation. And then what's coming up next, which we also saw earlier in the presentation, ball field renovation and a playground. Anything else on that slide that we want to put?
No, that's good.
Um,
So then we're back to teen.
Then, yeah, teen activities. I don't know, Maya, if you had a different picture you wanted to recommend.
No,
This is
I
what we used
love
last
that
year.
poster, so that's
Yeah, the
perfect.
poster's
Alright.
really good.
Um,
The only thing I might change is that I'm not sure why we have challenges where we have them. It's an odd thing to present something and present your challenges as your third item. I'd rather present what we're, the ideas that we have and what we're working on, and then if the challenges are needed at all, they go to the bottom.
Okay,
We're not presenting challenges with other programming stuff, so.
okay. The,
Like adulting, move that up underneath, because that's definitely something that there's been a lot of energy working on.
yeah,
I think, in past years, wouldn't that I be capitalized, identified?
Yes.
Oh,
okay, so move the adulting bullet above challenges.
I know, it's good.
Thank you.
And then this, kind of the last 3 bullets are, well, I guess Commissioner Gilbert probably goes up to the front with these other items. And then the last 2 items is that we're going to be looking for a new commissioner.
Yeah, I think that's good to get in there.
Okay. Commissioner Gilbert, if you'd like to suggest edits to this or a different direction, I just took a stab at it.
No, I like it a lot. This looks good.
Okay, yeah, if you have thoughts, send me an email.
Okay.
Anything else on this slide?
Sorry, I'm going back to it. Well, I'm gonna think about it, and I'll just shoot you an email.
Okay, thank you. So then, so confused. After teen activities, we've got naming policy.
Big policy.
And this is just a summary of what's going on. Council requested that we draft a naming policy for facilities, plaques, and memorials. And so we've reviewed a draft that was developed by staff and previous commissioners, and recreation staff is revising that draft. That's where we're at.
Recreation staff is revising.
Yeah,
You got it.
it's the new grammar.
We'll have to revise that.
Yeah. Anything else on naming policy?
That's good.
And Libby Lawn, number 6. So we should have a recommendation for this, so I think we can
Yeah,
update
that's good.
that slide, hopefully.
Before, did anyone else review all the comments
I
or
have
look at
not,
those?
no.
I would just suggest before the next meeting, if you have a moment to look through them, I think it's very interesting.
Okay.
And I think it's informative because, that was the questions were limited and there weren't very many of them. And so it gives you a taste of some of where different people are feeling and where the groups are. So
Okay.
I just think it's informative, especially with where we were with the survey
Okay. Cool.
numbers.
Okay, anything else on Libby Lawn? So yeah, I think in preparation for our discussion in August, like Commissioner Hittner is saying, it'd be great if everyone took a look at the survey results that Allison emailed. Did everyone get that?
Maybe we could email it
I was
again.
gonna say, let's send it out
Yeah.
again.
And I have
Refresh.
a new email because my old
Yeah.
email was shut down.
Oh, for
so-
school. Yes, there you go.
Yeah. So,
You can
Okay,
share it
so-
with us after the meeting.
yes.
Yeah.
So if, in that packet, it would be good to have the survey data and then the additional comments data, all in one email would be great. Does that make sense?
Say that again.
The, part of the survey was straight up numbers for how many of each answer and percentages. That data would be good. And then the comments data, which was separately pulled out based on each question, had a comment area, and have that as well. And then I guess the third item is the summary that Allison did.
The tallies, like the total
Well, it was
tally.
different because she simplified it by making decisions of where cutoff was positive, negative, based on, because quite a few of them were range questions, which makes it harder to do. So all three of those items would be helpful if you really want to look at, the data and
So
where it
you
fell
want
out.
it added to the slide?
No.
No,
No, just
separate.
a
We all did an
refresher
email to the commission.
Email to the
Oh,
commission.
oh,
So before the
okay.
next meeting, we can,
Yeah.
it can kind of be fresh in everyone's mind.
Yeah, so
Okay.
they kind of reviewed it at home and really kind of dug into it a little bit and then come in and have the discussion.
Homework, everyone.
Homework.
Homework. Okay.
Sorry, Commissioner Gilbert.
I know, I thought I was done with that.
Yeah.
You won't know what to do with yourself.
And then the last one would be the Valleywide Parks District. Where'd that go?
I don't think that was in here.
Oh.
It's not in there, but it's okay.
Okay.
Really, nothing's happened.
Yeah, and I.
It's a commission of one. I mean, I have printed some stuff out, I've done my own research, but nothing has happened.
Refresh my
Right.
memory on what's the difference of that?
Well, as it is now, we're a city of 7,000 with our boundary lines, but we're serving the valley.
Oh,
And
got
as it is now, the tax dollars coming in that are being spent on it are city resident tax dollars.
Okay,
So if you were to put it into, like, even if you were to use, say, for instance, the school district boundaries
okay.
and put together a special district,
All those
of which
common
there are at least 4 different ways I know of to do these things.
Right.
And there's different mechanisms and different management, and there's a lot of different ways to do it, but then you're getting money from all, exactly.
Okay.
And so it gives you a broader base to fund. Right now, we
We charge a penalty for those.
well,
that-
we charge an out-of-area fee.
What do we call that stuff?
Just a non-resident. fee.
Non-resident, yeah.
Non-resident.
And,
Yeah.
well,
It's 5% per just to
Right.
for your information, it's 5%
5%
more
To a
per
certain-
transaction, well, not to exceed $10
Right,
per transaction.
Oh, got it,
So
okay.
anything over obviously $200, it
Just
capped
it
out.
caps at 10.
And it's, the
Per
revenue
transaction.
for the year from that is
Not-
less than $10,000.
Not substantial.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
so
It's
the,
very small.
we track our participants by city residents, not
Well,
our
well-
value, just
Kind
based on
of.
dollars, okay?
I could throw out a general number. It's probably, it's not as high as you would think, the non-resident. And it's even
Out of-
unfair
out of
to
the
call
city.
them non-resident, to tell you the truth,
Out
because
of the
they're all
city
Ojai addresses, but
They're not part of the city
it's
proper.
about 60-40. 60
City.
city, 40 non.
And that 40% is, we don't have an idea if they're coming from Oakview or,
We could narrow it down. It'd take some,
We haven't drilled
through
down
our
into it.
ActiveNet system, we
because
could,
if we're
yeah.
gonna expand, it would be helpful to have, maybe if we haven't tracked it, if we are gonna do something like that, it would be helpful to start tracking it now to see, it would be silly if we only expanded our boundaries to say OUSD areas, but if that 40% is primarily from Oakview and beyond, then,
Yeah,
it would
Yeah.
make a difference.
my sense is, it's really Miners, Oaks, and Miramonte, those areas.
But the data would be
Certainly
good.
Oakview adds in there, but it would be good to have that percentage, yeah.
Maybe you want to be on the committee,
Yeah.
Actually.
because it's a committee of one that's not
Yeah.
doing much right now.
Assigned commissioner, and I was thinking,
I will put that slide back in,
Yeah.
and if you could take a look at it and give me feedback or
How does
rewrite
one
it if you want.
Well, you're in.
We'll get to that.
We'll get to that, but yeah.
Okay, so that's the slides. Anything else we want to add? We can talk a little bit about kind of game plan for discussion, if you want. Things we want, if there's anything specifically we want to make sure we talk about on any of these items, it'd be good to know that. I can
Just
get that.
so you know, I leave on the 24th, so I won't
July,
be
okay.
here. August, so I won't be here
For that meeting, yeah.
Okay.
But
We'll
you
miss you.
hopefully will be here for the
Well, the
August
August
one,
meeting, I
last
will
time.
be here. Just
That'll be the last one,
that'd be
okay.
nice.
Okay, so anything for the discussion, the joint meeting that we want to add to this? Okay, thanks. Yeah, so we'll have a cleaner draft of this for the August meeting to go over.
Sounds good.
I think you did a great job, though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Very, very good job.
Well, thanks. Thanks, Allison.
Oh,
You and
A lot of work.
Yeah. Sheriff Firestone and Allison.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, I figured you got
Thank
it,
you.
but.
Correct the spelling mistake here.
Yeah, expense.
Yeah, with a C.
Yeah.
I figured he had it, I just,
Doesn't catch
I'm
that. The word with a expense with a C? I don't know.
British.
Maybe
That's
the
just in British, that's why I was
English.
like, is it a
Old
British spelling?
English.
Okay, great. So then, item 8D, committee preparation, ad hoc committee preparation. So we'll go through our list of committees, and we have any updates or discussion, we can talk about it. So the Libby Lawn seating plan, Commissioners Murphy and Jacobson are not here. Like we discussed, we're inviting the public to our August 2nd meeting
right?
to get input on that, and hopefully we'll have a recommendation too at
Yeah.
that meeting. Do you have anything else, Sophocles, to add to that?
Nothing on that, just, I think we can potentially do a pretty decent job of getting some public input at our next meeting,
Yeah,
hopefully.
okay. Valleywide Parks District, we're talking about, we are looking for a commissioner to work with Commissioner Intner.
Now's when you can volunteer.
I would like to volunteer for that.
Excellent.
So I think we need to, do we need to vote on that?
I don't think
not
so.
Sure.
We haven't
I don't know if
before,
we
no.
have. I don't think so.
We usually just put a name next to it, yeah.
Right, yeah, great. So, and Commissioner Intner can get you up to speed on, we've talked a little bit as a commission about what we're interested in finding out, and then it's just a matter of.
It's come and
finding
gone
out.
for years.
Yeah. Awesome, thank you. Then, did you want to add anything?
No, it's good.
Soul Park?
I don't have too much. I've been trying to research more into it on my computer, but I haven't found much. And I walked the grounds again, and I really hope that you guys can do something with it because there's so much potential there. But I'm gonna keep researching over the next month. I haven't found anything decent yet, but I'll see what I can get into. I haven't talked with Commissioner Murphy yet, but I'll try and get in contact.
I don't think there's been a meeting yet, is the,
Yeah.
on that one, yeah.
What's the
No.
intent of it? Which part of Soul Park are we talking about? The county side or the golf course?
The
side?
county, the park, the park
Mhm.
side of
And
it.
utilizing it for recreation programs? Is that-
Yes.
I would agree, there's a lot of open,
Yeah,
really well manicured, especially lawn space. I would think
Yeah.
it would be really popular for the kids to.
Yeah.
there's a lot of potential.
Yeah.
Few things to work out there. Of
That's
course,
true.
parking, you know, trying to
Oh, as far as with
get
the-
that potentially waived and,
And
yeah,
there is
how
no
much,
outdoor
what
outside
can we
parking.
use? Can we use the ball
Just
field?
along the road there, yeah, but not along.
No, I don't think any now. I think-
Oh, did they put no parking signs up everywhere now?
Yeah, I
Wow,
don't think there's any parking outside.
that was tricky of them.
Okay, so then OUSD Partnerships, I haven't done anything on this.
Well, we're really at a lot of the work got done, and then not much has happened, so
Right.
I think we,
What's the intent of that?
We know that, oh, sorry, go ahead.
well, we've been looking to create more partnerships, like,
Like the after-school type program?
or the ceramics class, where the ceramics teacher from Nordoff, in the Nordoff facility, teaches for the community,
Oh,
through the
got
rec
it.
department.
Okay.
It's a rec
Okay.
run,
Like after-school type
right.
stuff?
Well, no, it's for adults
Or-
too, in the evening and during the
Oh, yeah,
summer,
like
and
the
for,
computer lab type
right,
thing.
and for youth, so kind of,
Oh, I
because,
like
you know,
that.
using the resources that we have.
Right, in the
And
valley.
then ultimately, they don't, I don't think they have any adult education right now, but for a little while, last year or the year before, they had, as part of one of their career tech classes,
Mhm.
they had a graphic design course for adults that no one knew about.
Now, has Mr. Duncan agreed to do something like that, or is that?
Oh, no, the ceramics is already happening.
Oh.
But what I was,
really?
but
That's
there
right,
was,
you
they did
know.
have some adult ed through the district, because sometimes
Uh-huh.
they're able to do that with their career tech stuff.
Okay,
And it actually supports their programs,
right.
but they don't have the ability to publicize very well. And so I think there's a
Yes.
great partnership there, that if they're adult ed, if they have teachers and they have the ability to do it, we could help them in creating, helping with the marketing to get to a larger
Well, that's
audience.
actually going on right now at San Antonio, and I believe Miramani, they have OUSD, OEF paid for their computer labs to be open on Mondays and Wednesdays, and my daughter was the only one that went because nobody.
They don't know.
Nobody knew
And this is
about
a
it. But it's
communica-
open to the public.
And that is a perfect thing to
Right,
offer up our,
Mondays and
yeah.
Wednesdays for 2 hours from 5 to 7.
And
at
that's-
San Antonio School, the computer lab's open, and,
Wow.
That should be in our,
adults
and that
can
should be
go
in our
Mhm.
brochure. And that's the thing, we're sending this
That's
brochure out
collaboration.
now, and like the
And
libraries
it's
in
free.
there,
It's totally
right.
free.
Well, we
And they-
should then reach out to.
We do need to have this meeting.
We need to reach out to OEF then.
And
Oh, USD.
Well,
They
Oh.
gave,
yeah,
OEF
But
gave
is
the
it-
money,
for it,
Oh,
yeah.
but it's an
OEF
OUSD
provided the money,
program.
But it's
So,
OUSD.
OUSD program.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would agree,
Oh,
I
okay.
would
Sorry,
agree with the
excuse me.
lack of publicizing.
It's
things.
just, they're not
There's a
strong at that.
disconnect,
They
yeah.
do it at Miners Oaks, and I go down with my brother all the time, and there's at least 10,
That one's
15
busy.
kids in there.
Yeah.
Well, they're not doing it
So-
at Miners Oaks because we're getting a new roof, so they moved it.
Yeah.
Just for the summer, but normally it is at, let's see, it was Miners Oaks and Miramonte,
they had one at
had it too,
Miramonte.
yeah, and I wanna say San Antonio.
And I even think that Matilla had an hour after school, not for the community, but
Right.
for students. It's just, yeah, communication.
Will
So-
one of you send me that information
Sure.
about it? Or I don't know if it's posted on OUSD's website?
But
No, I
I
don't
think
think
this,
so.
maybe we need to have that meeting, because staff was working on things, and we were thinking maybe it was covered, but I think it's beyond.
Right. And I need to speak with our instructors too, to say, hey, if you had the space,
Yeah, would you-
what,
Yeah.
what would you do this
do?
adult
Right.
class? Would you, because we did that with guitar.
Have,
like-
like,
Well-
20 computers or something
Yeah.
there, so.
Yeah.
Well, but I love too, I want to support their programs, because what's interesting about the career tech education that's happening right now is,
Mhm.
if they offer that, it sometimes can financially help support the programs they're offering to the kids. Because it brings in,
Brings in the parents.
yes, and it brings in money for offering the programs. So as much as we can see if there's an opportunity to help promote what they're doing, because we're paying to send out the brochure, which is wonderful. We've seen a great increase in
Yeah.
users from doing that, but as much as we can serve all of the community,
We'd be happy to put that in our activity guide.
Yeah, so it sounds like.
If we knew what they had.
Mr. Renner and myself and Sophocles should kind of
Right.
brainstorm on
Yeah.
organizing a meeting and what we'd want to cover.
yeah.
Andy Cantwell's
OUSD.
pretty receptive to it.
He's great.
He's really great.
Yeah.
He's really innovative and
He
he's
is.
really
Yeah.
seems.
There's so much
really
opportunity right
progressive.
now.
And I agree.
Yeah.
He is. He's very open to that sharing of facility too. More on our end to share, to use their facility if and when we need it.
Right, which makes more sense.
Yep.
Yeah.
Great.
Okay, naming committee. So Commissioner Murphy's not here. I don't know, do you know if Allison's going to have a draft ready for us to look at in August?
I'm not sure. She, again,
summer.
with summer program taking priority, she took down a lot of notes, I know, from our June meeting.
Mhm.
I don't know if she's had time to develop it
Yeah,
or make those changes that she notated.
right, okay, but she's got the notes.
Yep.
And then youth committee.
I don't have much. I know Allison and I wanted to do another ping pong tournament and movie night over the summer. I tried to talk with this club at Nordhoff that I saw that they were doing movie nights at Nordhoff, and I was interested in seeing if they wanted to help out, but they did not want to help out at all, so that didn't work. And I haven't been in contact with her much. I've been really busy, and I know she's been really busy, so I'm going to try and get a meeting set up for next week or two so we can
You're
discuss.
saying in addition to the Friday night one that they show?
This would be for teens.
Yeah, a teen movie
For the
night.
big kids.
Not every
Especially
night.
with the heat waves coming up, I think it'd be really nice if we can get the kids indoors.
Inside.
Yeah.
That's a good idea.
That sounds
So-
good. I think I don't have your current email address, but I would like to, I had, at our last meeting, I volunteered to be on the youth committee for the summer,
Yay.
primarily to pick your brain, so that
Okay.
when we get a new commissioner, we
Don't
can
lose
kind
all of the, that's good.
hand off all of the progress you've made in kind of figuring out like what youth are interested in doing
Okay.
and some of the issues that have come up. So hopefully we can have some time to discuss that.
I'll give you my new email for sure.
Okay, great. Anything else on youth committee or anything else on committees? No, okay. Item 9, recreation staff report updates.
Okay, Sarasota master plan, we've already discussed
Heard
that, so I
that.
think we can, yeah, move on from there. But I will, and we may put it on the next agenda item, just because I want to get your feedback to say, yes, we like the way it looks, just needing your input on how you think the new design looks.
Right.
And we don't have to do that right now, but.
Could you just give us a summary of what's changed?
Well, just mainly putting the Boyd Center back and reconfiguring the parking. So as you can see, I don't recall how many parking spaces were available when the Boyd Center was eliminated. When we
With the
didn't
other
have
plan.
the Boyd Center, with the other plan. So I think I think it was around 40 or 41 parking spaces, but now with the Boyd Center staying in its current position, it dropped about 14 parking,
14.
yeah, somewhere in that neighborhood. And then he was adding on, you'll see that next to the gymnasium, a 1750 square foot addition, to which I don't know what that addition would be for necessarily.
I
don't
think,
we've
I think,
talked- oh,
yeah, I
maybe
think it's like, this is the classroom, isn't this adding on to accommodate more classrooms and the same ideas of the whole big facility?
I'm not so sure, and I don't know how much it'll push into, again, that open field space that we have behind the gym. So I'm not sure that was in the original 35,000 square foot building.
You think the footprint is different than the original building, the proposed 35,000 square foot building?
Yes, I'm not, well, I guess I'm, on top of that, I'm not quite sure if we do add that, how much of an impact it has on that field space and
Right.
all those, in cost, it's just an add-on, but without any costs or.
Right. It seemed like, I mean, I don't think this was
It-
something that we had covered in the master plan. We shouldn't slip it
Well,
in.
I think what they did is they had to take out the 35,000 square
Right.
foot facility because, out of this plan, because that was what was requested of them.
Right.
And what they did is then they put in this amount of square footage to add on to the existing building.
Right.
To add some of the stuff we might have gotten in the 35,000 square foot
I
building.
see.
Nowhere near the same, because we're very clear we have a shortage of classrooms.
Right.
We have a shortage of meeting spaces for different activities. I mean, we are,
Right. And
we need more space. And so
Sure,
that
and
was
I-
their attempt to add to it.
and I guess it is like, we'll
We could do
on
this.
on both sides of the gymnasium, sort of flesh it out, like
Yeah.
what are those buildings going to be, a little more definitive. That, at least for me, that's the way I feel about it.
What the council approved though was it was not changing the
Right.
Boyd Center and the gym.
Right.
But I mean,
Actually, it wasn't exactly the gym, it was mostly just
the Boyd
the
Center.
Boyd Center.
Is the
Right.
Boyd Center.
Right.
Really, that was all. And then, so when we got this, I just was curious about, I think this was their own,
It makes sense to
it
me.
was their own
but-
input on the designer to say, well,
Because
you
it's-
didn't get the 35,000 square foot building, but
Right.
This is what we
consider
can
these
fit.
things.
Yeah.
Well, this is what we
would
could
fit.
do without, yeah.
So this
But there's no-
would require another recommendation and approval by the city council, because this wasn't in the plan that we proposed.
Well, except the community center was, and their whole thing was the Boyd Center couldn't be touched. It
Right.
wasn't that there couldn't be a
Square
community
footage
center,
on that approval?
Mhm.
it wasn't that specific. The one thing that was very specific
Was
is that it could not
Leave the Boyd Center.
leave the Boyd Center. I don't think that it was so much a problem, well, that was the only direct feedback we got.
Yeah.
Yes, so it is opening up a little bit of a new can of worms,
Right.
potentially.
Yeah.
Is that
What's
even
that?
po-
Sorry.
I was just saying, with the ADA compliance, how would we even get away with a second story type addition for, we'd have to have.
Does
a
it all have to
build-
be accessible, or do you have to have a portion accessible and have all of
I don't
the
know,
services?
That's what I'm saying, I'm curious, they looks like is that an afterthought to say you could go to 3,500 square feet, 2 stories, or 6,400 square feet of 2 stories? How would that be accessible?
yeah,
I don't know.
it's something
Nowadays,
I'd-
you have to have that has to be accessible to wheelchair, right, or?
All of it.
Well, I haven't got, I haven't
It's
received,
in Gov, yeah.
yep, sorry. I haven't received any input from our Public Works Director, so he would be the obvious choice to ask
I'm just curious,
about
maybe it
that.
just seems
I,
like.
I do like that they put the stage back in,
Yeah.
and I
there-
think that
there
actually is a
was-
lovely, I think that's a good location for the little stage, but,
And
That was in there.
that was in there, it
That
just moved.
stage.
Mhm.
Sophocles, when you say we lost the 14 spaces, is that, it says parking 27, how many do we have right now in that, kind of that turnaround?
In that north lot,
That many.
gosh, not
Not 27.
less
No,
than
less than
27.
27.
Yeah,
So we
it's probably
lost
half,
14.
it's probably half of, the amount of parking space is probably half of that in the
And
north
will
lot.
Still be able to park on the street there, or is that become a non, it looks like
Um,
that's a sidewalk that's put in there?
That's a good question. I think
We have
there were- I
sidewalk there
would-
now. don't
Yeah,
we?
I would think that,
Yeah.
Yeah,
Really?
yeah,
Yep.
there's a sidewalk.
there's a
there.
sidewalk, right
In front of the Boyd Center?
No, on the
Oh,
street.
sorry.
On,
Saying, like,
the,
is this a sidewalk right here?
yeah,
Yes.
We don't have that now.
yeah, we do.
Do?
Mhm.
On the street side?
Mhm.
Pretty sure you can park.
All the way, like from the parking lot that's parallel
I don't think it was
Yeah,
to
always
the
there.
Park Road, if that street goes all the way,
To park, but after the parking lot from the front of, from the.
From here, it doesn't, over there, where they
I
had,
just, I didn't think there was, I thought it was straight curb.
yeah,
parking.
there's that mulberry tree, is that what you're,
No,
is
like,
it?
right in front of the Boyd Center, on the, adjacent the grass area,
Huh?
there's a sidewalk there?
Yeah,
yeah. The sidewalk ends right at the end of this parking lot, then there's no sidewalk there.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying,
N-
okay.
Not down here at this parking lot, but in front of the Boyd Center, there's
like when
sidewalk.
you get past the whole park, then there's the dirt, it's kinda like a dirt,
So that's all the same.
or is that might even be, There's parking there too. There's a sidewalk there as well. all
There's
the
not
way
a, there's
all the
not
way
a
up to Grand.
sidewalk in front of the fields.
That's right.
It's just the peeler poles and a curb.
Yeah.
And you can
Yes.
park there and it's
You can
fine,
park
but there's
there.
not a sidewalk.
No, I'm sorry, you're right. The one that runs parallel to the ball fields,
Yeah,
there is
no
no sidewalk there,
There is parking.
but there is
yes.
parking.
Okay, so in addition to, so there's these new or reworking of structures in the gym area. What else is different about this?
Sorry, I can't tell you off the top of my head. It really would have been more appropriate to bring the previous plan. Yeah, so that would have been a lot more helpful to have both plans
Okay.
in front of us to see the changes. So I can send you the old, I can, would you like me to email you the old plan and then obviously this?
Yeah, or just a summary if anything else has changed. One other thought I had was that so we have the picnic areas in, and as part of that, we have the pathway between the picnic areas, which isn't reflected on here. There's a kind of a sidewalk.
Where are you pointing to?
Currently, there's a pathway between the
Yeah.
two smaller ones.
Oh, I see,
Oh, yeah.
right,
So I don't,
yeah, in between that grassy area.
right, I don't know if we
There
want
should
to
be a
put that in the
pathway.
plan?
Well,
Or-
depends on what we ultimately want.
Right.
He,
I don't know. Because ultimately, when they if we were to act upon the plan and put, you'd have a path that circumvented around the green space,
Uh-huh.
and it would still be accessible by a hard path,
Yeah,
just not the same way.
yeah, I know what pathway you're
Yeah.
referring to, the one that,
but, yeah.
it would be better to have it in there.
Well, I
You don't
think
think
like
so?
You don't
Commissioner
think
was
so?
saying,
Because
if
it's not the
ultimately
goal.
we want this to be one kind of contiguous green space, then no, we would get rid of that path and have it go around like it's drawn on here. I think that seems,
And I think, from my perspective, the intent of that is to create space between the picnic areas,
right.
so that each picnic area has a more separated feel.
Defined space.
Yeah, whereas the path leading directly between them doesn't accomplish that the same way that this plan would.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, the teen play's still there, I was trying to find it.
In the zip line and
Mhm.
all that. I'll have to send you what the previous, to me, what stood out mostly was what that was wrapped around the gymnasium.
Yeah.
From my perspective, I support having it in there because ultimately we're very clear of our needs, and the current facility doesn't meet the needs. And so, as a plan going forward, we're trying to put together something that will, it may not be exactly this, but that is the intent, that we need more classrooms and more space to accommodate programming.
Yeah.
So I'd like to.
It's sort of a compromise, I suppose.
I think
to
it's a
the-
compromise. It's adding square
5,000
footage, but
square
not
feet.
35,000 square
Yeah,
feet of square
right.
footage.
Yeah.
And it's working with what we have in a more economical and a way that doesn't compromise what's the Boyd
The
Center
Boyd
itself.
Center, right.
Whether we need to resend it to council or not, it's a perfect discussion thing for that evening, too.
Yeah.
So that we can have that discussion then during that meeting about, don't you think it's an opportune time to get everybody at the same table and talk
Yeah,
about it?
Say,
Yeah.
yeah. What we're doing right now, same
Yeah.
at that meeting.
That sounds good. Okay,
All right.
thank you.
Summer programs, I'll just give you a few updates regarding that. So as you may or may not know, we have an 8-week, last summer it was only 6 weeks long, at least our public swim. Our swim lessons are still just 6 weeks long because we do those swim lessons at the Villanova pool, and we only have the Villanova pool for 6 weeks. But we will have 8 weeks of public swim. So we currently have sold 31 between family swim passes and single swim passes. We've sold just 31, but speaking to the public here, you still have 5 weeks of public swim. It's getting hotter, and we will prorate your swim pass. So,
Prorate it, there you go.
come to the rec department and get those swim passes. We do have Friday and Saturday hours now
So
for
this Saturday?
public swim. Yeah.
Wow.
When it's
And it's
100 and whatever.
Drop in,
108
okay?
now.
You can do drop-in. It's a $5 drop-in, and the original cost for the family swim pass was $80. But again, I can't calculate the prorate right off the top of my head now, but there's still 5 more weeks of public swim, so come in.
And-
What are the hours for public
Yeah.
swim?
So public swim Monday through Thursday is 12. It's a very small window, unfortunately. It's 12:30 to 2:30. But again, on Friday it's 1 to 5, and on Saturday I believe it's the same time. You can check the website. You can check our website in our activity guide for those definitive times. But I think Saturday might be the same thing. I think both Friday and Saturday are 1 to 5 for public swim. We've how many? 200. We've enrolled 200 participants for swim lessons at this point. We're in our second 2-week block of time, so there's one more 2-week session after this. It ends end of July. The swim lessons.
Is that because the school needs the?
They
Cool.
need their facility. Villanova Prep needs it back. Yeah. Some other noteworthy, so next week, as you probably know, we have specialty camps. In addition to day camp, we offer specialty camps. So next week, we have our first fencing camp starting, our first surf camp starting. So there's just only a couple more spots left in that surf camp, and we offer 4 throughout the summer. Did I mention Fusion? We have a Fusion soccer camp, and then a Build-A-Pet camp next week. Our day camp, we've been averaging about 45 to 50 participants a week. And our next field trip is Sky High. The campers just today, since we had our field trips are typically on Wednesdays, but since 4th of July was on Wednesday, we had our field trip today to Kids World in Oak Park. It's an indoor playground. And then just 5 minutes away from that indoor playground, there's an outdoor splash pad,
Nice.
water park that we've kind of discovered over the past 2-3 years that was right by this indoor playground. So the kids at least were cooler today out in Oak Park. We have actually, we have about 20 specialty camps, and we have close to 400 participants currently enrolled in all of those specialty camps, all of those different specialty camps. I was talking before this meeting began about that partnership with the music festival and the Bravo camp, and I estimated, or our number said we had 40. Mr. Firestone said that number looked more than 40, maybe.
Yeah, I was telling Sophocles, my daughter took that camp, and it was awesome. I got to observe some of it. The kids were very engaged, singing and dancing and telling stories. It was really cool to watch.
Yeah, so very popular. So yeah, that as I said, the public swim, it'll go up through August 11th, almost through basically entire summer break. And then, as always, I feel it necessary to mention our movie nights. So our next movie night is Friday, July 27th, and the movie will be Ferdinand.
Nice.
The time frame is 6 to 9 p.m. and movie starts at 7. All for the low price of $12. We bumped it up a couple of dollars, but it did not bother the parents one bit that we
And that's a
increased the
drop-in
fee $2.
class if they have to sign up.
It is all, they don't have to do any pre sign-ups. It's all drop in, yeah. So we didn't have as big like the last two movie nights we had, I think, about 62 kids. Two Saturdays ago, or 2 Fridays ago, and then the last Friday movie night we had half of that number. So it's so
Vacation. I was
gonna
unpredictable.
say summer is hard.
Summertime.
Yeah, summertime.
Yeah, I think
Especially on
summer.
Friday nights, I imagine families that are leaving for,
Yeah.
you know, taking the weekend.
That's what it was, because the last movie was near the end of the school year,
Yeah.
and then this was, in June, late June.
After
So,
school's out.
yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's all I have on classes, summer program, classes and events.
A quick question.
Yeah.
They used to do the movies in the park for the families. Remember the blow-up screens and all that? Are we thinking of, someone asked me about it.
You mean the,
At Sarzodi. They had an inflatable screen that they did on the
Yeah.
back lawn, and it was lovely.
it was, and that was,
Someone was asking, I'm like, yeah, we haven't done that.
that was paid for and provided by the Lions. I believe it was the Lions
So it
Club.
was a partnership.
It was a partnership.
Okay.
Yeah. And I don't know what the reasons were that it stopped happening.
Do they have the equipment, do you know?
It was a
They
rental.
I think they just hired a company. They paid for a company to come out and do it. So I don't know if they decided it wasn't
Anyway,
affordable for
we
them,
can
but
look into
yeah.
that later, but it was,
Yeah.
it was lovely.
It was.
And it had really nice turnouts, and a lot of people just sat around, got together. It was very community building, which is what I liked about it.
Yeah, it was. Agreed.
Okay, sorry, that was.
No, it's okay. It's worth mentioning again, because it was a definitely community building, and it was,
Yeah.
this is just for kids,
Right,
and that was a family event, yeah.
okay. Also,
Right.
under the lights at Libby.
And- Yeah. All right, Libby under the lights.
Just back on the calendar at some point
yeah.
soon.
Allison,
summer.
Allison was bemoaning the fact that we just
So busy.
haven't
I
had
know.
the time to plan another one.
You guys need to work more.
I know.
What's
Yeah.
that?
You guys need to work more.
Yeah, I know. Like, that's what people tell us all the time. No. So you want to go to youth commissioner vacancy? We can do that. I do not believe we have put out advertisement for it yet, and probably with good reason, because I don't really think the summertime is the best time to be
Right,
reaching out.
yeah.
I am on the board of the Ojai Valley Youth Foundation, and Francine Nelson, who is the director of that foundation, will have a meeting on July 10th, and I will bring up the fact that we need a youth commissioner, so she has good contacts. She teaches at Nordhoff.
Yeah.
She has good contacts, so I'm hoping to use their help in the recruitment process.
Everyone's worried
I
about
think what would be
sports
good is to have everything ready and out before school starts, but open all the way to the end of, the mid-September. Like, I think we could calendar
Like-
the timeframe that we're shooting for and make sure that we have our materials ready before then. Because we can get the materials ready during the summer and just
Yeah.
be ready to hit the road running right in August.
Yeah, because
So
school
you're-
starts on the 22nd.
Yeah, okay. So we could open it before school starts and then
Well,
keep it open a month into September.
I will be back for the first day of school because they want me to come back and talk about college and
Mhm.
stuff. So it's called Welcome Back Wednesday, and they have booths,
Mhm.
and it's basically just kids talking about clubs and stuff. So I will do my best to
Word out.
get the
Yep.
word out. I'll force it in. They can't stop
Well,
me.
and maybe we could have materials by then for you to hand out.
Show up.
Yeah.
What's
When
the
is
criteria?
that date? Welcome back.
I'm pretty sure. I'm pretty sure it's August 22nd. It's
Oh,
just
on the first day of school?
yeah. It's
Oh,
they
yeah, that
just
is
started it
perfect
last.
timing.
We got a new vice principal, and she's amazing. And they just started this
It is
last
the
year. It's the 22nd.
Yeah.
They call it Welcome Back Wednesday. They have booths. You don't go to class at all. They have you go around to like our
Is that
4
just for
pillars.
seniors, or is that
It's the whole school. They have like a community service, and you go around to like
Users, all that kind of stuff.
yeah, and you go
Nice.
around and talk to
Great
other
idea.
students and
Resources.
counselors.
That's different than the
Ranger
Yeah, Ranger Roundup's earlier, and that they just made that strictly for getting your yearbook and ID. So this one's for building our community at Nordhoff.
Oh, I like that. So maybe we should have a table.
You said, yeah, August
what you
22nd.
pay for.
August
one in
22nd.
advance.
Maybe we should have a table.
We just launch it off at that time and then
Perfect.
Yeah.
go,
And
then
maybe
go
we could
through
Collect information
September
from
or
teens
mid-
who are interested in activities that same day. Maybe the rec could have a table.
You know, they have a similar position with OUSD has a youth representative.
To the school
and-
board.
Yeah,
Mhm.
for the school board. I wonder if
I
somebody.
did that many years ago.
The girl who used to do it graduated with me.
I sat on that one, there was a steering committee for the later start.
Mhm.
And there was some youth in there. What is what are our requirements age-wise? Like what are we?
I think, is
Sophomore.
it sophomore?
Yeah.
Or better? Okay.
Yeah, and I think
Anyone from the Ojai
School,
Valley,
any-
yeah.
anyone from the Ojai Valley.
Though we
'cause I
changed it a
think
little
Austin,
a little while ago, but
It
Was
doesn't
it-
matter public or private, it's just.
Mm-mm.
Right,
Yeah.
because I think Austin
he went to El
was the
Camino.
last was, where?
El Camino. Mhm.
I thought it was Villanova, but, yeah.
I think he may have
you're
done
probably
both,
right.
but
I don't, yeah.
So you're about like 15?
I don't think it's an age. I think it's a grade.
Yeah.
But-
You're
But
about
we can
Sophomores
look
are
at-
typically 15 to 16
right?
years
Okay.
old.
16, yeah.
It's actually in our commissioner handbook.
It is in the handbook.
And you can find that commissioner handbook on the city website.
Thank you, thank you.
But I think having a table there would be
Let me
great.
research that.
Yeah.
And using the table for more than just finding a representative. If we really want to hit it hard on teen activities next year, that should be a launch.
Yeah. Well, we've got a
Yeah, totally.
Kids
Yeah.
love
little
surveys
more
and
than a
I know.
month.
They like.
Especially with technology.
Right, they
Yeah.
love the interaction. We were just saying we could do a
iPad.
survey on the 22nd with some iPads, like to draw
Ah.
people into it,
Yeah.
on whatever,
For teen activities,
is.
yeah.
I'll try to find some millennials to help us with that.
Well, I mean, I think commissioners could help too. Yeah,
I like
that could be a
that.
commissioner
Yeah,
help do the table.
all right, well, I'll
It's a
report
marketing
back to our
opportunity.
department and Allison and I will work on that,
Yeah, I bet we
Plan
could
going
get at
forward.
least one of us to
Yeah.
sit at a table.
try to recruit. Yeah.
And Maya could spend some
Oh,
time
yeah.
there at that table too.
Yeah.
Okay,
That's great.
and I don't have any other information if we're done with
Okay,
the vacancy.
any questions for Sophocles, comments? No, all right. Try to keep your head above water.
Yeah, it is a
Survive the
daily-
summer.
It is yeah, it's great, I mean,
Yeah, a
some
lot going
great
on.
kids as always, and it's a lot of fun, but
Like
a
that.
lot of logistic,
Yeah,
Yeah.
challenges.
Yeah,
for sure.
yeah. Well, thank you.
Always a good time, yeah,
Sounds like things are going really well.
yeah, they are.
Any other commissioner committee reports, comments?
Yes.
Great.
The Libby Bowl Committee had a report to council, and there was a council meeting, was it 2 or 3 meetings ago? I should have the exact date, but I don't have it. If anyone's interested in going back and watching the meeting, you can click to the agenda, or the minutes, and it'll show you where it was. And they have tasked the committee to present in 6 months a proposed management plan for the Libby Bowl to council. And so our committee is working, and it's broken down into some subcommittees to work on specific pieces of that management plan, of which I am working on fee structure with Michael Addison, who is a member of the Arts Commission. So
And so a proposed management plan, that would be for the city to take over the management of it?
the city has already taken over the management and is currently managing it,
Okay.
but not, we have a model we're using, but it was really taking staff that we had and putting things together and making it work versus looking at an optimal situation for the city to take it on and manage it.
Okay.
From permitting, staffing, all the different pieces that come together to make the bowl work.
Sounds good. Anything else from that?
We've only had one meeting since our last meeting, and it was really just to break up into our subcommittees and start working on that. And from the fee structure standpoint, one of the things too that came out of council was a desire to accommodate schools and some of the other which I have been advocating for the
For,
whole
like, plays
time.
and such, or what?
Yeah, to use it on off hours in particular, or times where they want to
For, like,
use it.
performances?
Yeah, or practice, or whatever, there are probably creative ways that they can
Right.
use the bowl if they're not having to pay
Help
every
set
time,
it up.
yeah, and get them in there and using it and make it approachable for that kind of, and then just increasing community use in general, and how do we create a fee structure and a set of, the policies that will make it available to the community, all different parts of the community for
And
different
affordable.
activities. Mhm. As well as supporting and sustaining the commercial side of things and balancing those. So it's an in progress,
Yeah,
6-month deadline, so that's good. So there'll be a product at that point.
great.
And if you're not already at ohilibbybowl.org, if you go on there and you submit your email, you'll get updates as to when concerts are coming and what's on there. So it's fun to go. Just sign up and then you'll see, because there's quite a bit coming in the next, I do have that on my phone, but different acts are coming and various different stuff, so. There's a lot more going on there than people know, and the committee knows that, and that is definitely one of the objectives, is to increase the awareness, and get that out there. It's also if you're looking for it, it's a business, but I'm gonna give a pitch, is Ojai Hub have you been there? Ojai Hub is a new community, they have a calendar for the community, which is both, businesses, activities, the library is on there, rec stuff, some of it is on
We have
there.
some of our recs that we
and
put our open
concerts.
house on
So
there.
if you go check it out on a specific day, it'll give you the various different things that are happening.
Ohighub.com.
Ohighub.com.
Our movie nights are on there.
That's great. So, yeah, and it's another place to find information.
And can anybody post on there, or what, like, the
I
school
think you
district
can
do
submit,
stuff?
yes. Yeah, I think there's,
Well,
and
that'd be great.
I haven't
Let's do
quite
that.
figured out, one time I go and I get it, and the next time it seems different than the last time, so, but they've categorized things by, they have city council meetings on there, for instance. So if you're looking for the city council meetings, you could definitely go to the city website,
Got it.
but this is another place that would have
That's
that
what I want.
information.
Nice.
Great. Anything else?
No, any questions I can answer, but
All right. Any other commissioner committee reports? Comments? Okay, we don't have a city council liaison here today. So then item 12, future meeting dates and agenda items. We've got, tentatively our next meeting is August 2nd. So I've got items for that one, CIP refresh, take a look at the CIP and see if we want to modify anything. Review slides for the joint meeting, a recommendation on Libby Lawn, and a recommendation on the multi-sport courts. And then maybe we'd have a naming policy document to look at, so we can check in with Allison
hope for that.
if she
Yeah,
thinks
I
that. If not,
I'll put naming committee.
if it's available, we'll put that on the agenda, and if not, we can talk about it in September.
Okay.
Anything else to add to the agenda for August?
That's
No?
good.
Okay.
Maybe that
We will
Tuesday, that August 22nd day, we should probably
Get ready,
discuss that.
yeah,
that's
that's a
Good.
good idea.
And if we're gonna do any coordination with the survey or attend or something.
be welcome back Wednesday.
That's a good idea.
Yeah, that sounds good. Thank you. Anything else to add? Oh, okay. Well, we are adjourned. Give me 1 second.